Beyond every illusion lies a deeper truth. Welcome to Beyond the Illusion with the R-TisT-O. What is an illusion? When most people hear the word illusion, they think of magic tricks, disappearing coin, levitating person, a card chosen from a deck. But illusions are much older than stage magic. In fact, illusions exist everywhere around us. Every single day, our minds make assumptions before we even realize it. We believe what we see. We trust our memories. We trust our emotions. But the strange thing is, the human mind is not always interested in truth. Sometimes the mind is interested in comfort, sometimes survival, sometimes fear, sometimes hope. A magician understands something very important. People don't see reality the way it truly is. They see reality the way their mind allows them to see it. That's why two people can witness the exact same moment and walk away with completely different versions of the story. Even memory itself can become an illusion. There are people who clearly remember conversations that never happened, faces that were never there, and details that change over time. And yet, to them, it feels completely real. Think about that for a moment. If our memories can change, if emotions can influence reality, if the mind fills in missing pieces without asking permission, then how much of our lives are built on illusion? I remember the first time I experienced an illusion that truly stayed with me. A friend of mine showed me a simple trick using nothing more than two rubber bands. At first, it looked completely impossible. He held one rubber band between his thumb and index finger, stretching it into a small square shape. Then he smiled and said, "This is the gel." With his other hand, he placed a second rubber band inside the gel, holding it tightly between his fingers. He slowly stretched the rubber band from side to side, showing me there were absolutely no escape. There was no opening, no hidden gap, no way for one rubber band to pass through the other. He was David Copperfield. And that made perfect sense to me because rubber bands are solid. They stayed, solid. They may stretch, but solid objects are not supposed to melt through each other. Then suddenly, right in front of my eyes, the impossible happened. The rubber band slowly melted through the other one, as if the law of reality no longer applied. And for a brief moment, my mind stopped trying to explain it. That moment stayed with me because I realized something important. Sometimes an illusion is not about fooling the eyes. Sometimes it's about challenging what the mind believes is possible. Maybe illusions were never just about deception. Maybe they reveal something deeper about human nature. What makes illusions truly fascinating is not the trick itself, it's the mind, because the real performance is happening inside our heads. The human mind is constantly trying to make sense of the world. Every second, it filters information, fills in missing pieces, predicts outcomes, and creates meaning from chaos. Most of the time, we don't even notice it happening. For example, have you ever looked at a shadow in the dark and for a split second thought it was a person? Or heard your phone vibrate only to realize it never did? Or remember something so clearly uh, that you was aware it had happened exactly that way, only to later discover you were wrong. The mind does something very strange. It doesn't always show us reality as it truly is. Sometimes it shows us what we expect to see. Fear can change reality. Hope can change reality. Anger, loneliness, grief, even love can become its own kind of illusion. And maybe that's why illusions affect us so deeply, because they expose something uncomfortable. The fact that the mind can be influenced, guided, distracted, and sometimes completely deceived, magicians understand this. Psychologists study it, advertisers use it, storytellers depend on it. And every single day, whether we realize it or not, we all live inside versions of reality created by our own minds. Dreams are another strange example of how powerful the mind can be. Almost everyone has experienced that moment you're falling in a dream. And even though your body is lying safely in bed, your stomach drops, your heart reacts, fear feels completely real. For a brief moment, the mind convinces the body that the illusion is reality. And maybe that's what makes the human mind so fascinating. Even when something isn't physically happening, we can still feel it emotionally, mentally, sometimes even physically. Which raises an interesting question. If the mind can create fear from a dream, then how many other illusions do we experience in everyday life without or ever realizing it? Maybe the greatest illusion was never the trick. Maybe it was believing that the mind could never be fooled. Some illusions disappear the moment the trick is revealed, but others stay with us for years. Not all illusions are created on stage. Some are created through fear, through memories, through emotions, through stories we tell ourselves. Sometimes we convince ourselves everything is fine when it isn't. Sometimes we believe people are who they pretend to be. And sometimes we hold on ideas simply because letting go feels more painful than accepting the truth. And maybe that's part of being human. We all want answers. We all want meaning. We all want to believe the world around us makes sense. But life has a strange way of challenging these beliefs. A single moment, a single loss, a single truth can completely change the way we see the world. Life has a way of humbling people. There are moments when you realize how fragile everything really is. For me, one of those moments came through illness. Spending hours connected to a dialysis machine changes the way you think. You begin to notice time differently, silence differently. Even life itself feels different. And something strange happens. The things people chose every day, status, stress, appearance, start to feel smaller. Because when life becomes uncertain, many of the illusions we once believed begin to fade. And maybe that's why difficult experiences change people, not because suffering is magical, but because struggle has a way of revealing what truly matters. Maybe illusions were never meant only to deceive us. Maybe they exist to remind us how fragile, complicated, and mysterious the human mind truly is. And perhaps the greatest illusion of all is believing we fully understand reality. This is Beyond the Illusion with the R-TisT-O.